Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Mass. Here we have a couple powerful wizards, Matt Orfanello on Eureka versus Adam, three-time Brennan. They actually team up together on our Legacy and Team Trio events under the team name The Wizards. So here we go. An inter-team battle, often playing as friends here, playing for the rights to go on to the finals of our F&M Eureka, a list that I've been very interested in, put in some thought and some reps with, to very solid results. And Blue-Red Delver, I've actually played against Eureka with it. It really it's a very skill-dependent matchup. There's a lot of variance. It is anybody's game. I mean, there are some matches where Delver just has so many counters that you just can't get past them. There are times where Veil of Summer is just an absolute trump. Delver unflipped swings. And that is not the best sign for Adam. Aside from mulling super low, Delver not flipping. And it looks like kind of an aggressive start here. Adam opting to go with the Young Pyromancer as he doesn't have anything in the graveyard for that Dreadhorde Arcanist. And here we've got a Show and Tell. Daze pitch Force pitch Ponder to stop the Daze. And Omniscience into Cunning Wish. And that is a wrap. For those unfamiliar, Cunning Wish can grab a variety of different win conditions. The easiest is probably Shared Summons. It'll grab Emrakul and Gristlebrand, allow you to cast both and just go to the next turn. Alternately, you can also grab a Firemind's Foresight. From there, you can get a 1, 2, and 3 casting cost card out of your deck, and that'll actually allow you to do infinite damage as Release the Ants ultimately ends up back in your hand. So the 1, 2, and 3 casting cost cards end up being Brainstorm, Impulse, and yet another Cunning Wish. So from there, you're able to Impulse, Brainstorm in those 7 cards, hopefully have a Emrakul or Gristlebrand, put that on top of your library, and then release the Ants off of the Cunning Wish. Every time you clash, you're revealing a card that has a higher mana cost than anything in your opponent's deck. And often Gristlebrand is enough. Most decks actually don't have an 8 casting cost card, so he gets the job done. Occasionally when you're playing against Eldrazi, Cloud Post decks, anything that runs Emrakul, you just kind of have to hope that you don't need to do infinite damage and grab Emrakul and Gristlebrand off of a shared summoning. Usually 22 damage, plus Annihilator 6, plus drawing at least 14 cards, all of which are free to cast off of Omniscience. That's typically good enough. And we'll see if Adam can contain the situation here. He does have some Lightning Bolts and Chain Lightnings, which are less attractive versus decks that don't have a ton of targets. It's possible Matt has a Xantid Swarm or 2 in the sideboard. Not even sure if you want to bring it in this matchup. It does turn on any removal spells that kind of get strayed in the deck anyways. You're going to be much happier lightning bolting a Xantid Swarm than you are throwing it at someone's face unless it's actually lethal damage. And Delver's really going to need to manhandle Eureka in terms of their play on the stack. I mean, you're going to need a ton of counters. 1 counter's not going to do it. 2 counters, not usually going to be good enough. You're going to need like 3 counters most of the time. It's not uncommon for Eureka to have a Veil of Summer and Force of Will backup. So if you can get to that 3rd counter, you can be in good shape. Oops, sorry about that, guys. So Ponder here. Adam going to need to get a clock going, giving Eureka enough time will mean an absolutely busted hand that, I mean, first off, plays around all of the soft counters. All of your dazes, spell pierces, even Flusterstorm to a degree starts to become much, much worse. And Preordain off of Tropical Island. Adam popping that Wasteland to the front of his hand. Likes the idea of a potential free win. We got a top and bottom. And that Lotus Petal staying in hand. That does give you more options later on with Brainstorm. Casting it gives you more options if you have to Force of Will something. If he had played that Lotus Petal, perhaps he would want to Force of Will the Dreadhorde. Brainstorm being fired off without any additional mana on board. So Daze could have been fired at this if it is in Adam's hand. Matt may be able to safely assume it's not there. Lotus Petal joins a basic island, and Matt now has all of the mana he actually needs to win the game. Eureka only needs 3 mana to cast that Show and Tell. All this additional mana that Matt's going to be looking for is going to be to try and get that key card to resolve. We got a Brainstorm for Adam. We see Force of Will and a Fetch Land. Very welcome sights. And we're going to have Tropical Island kicked to the curb. The Fetch Land being held back, keeping Pyroblast online. Definitely a decision to make there. I actually don't hate committing Delver to the board, but it does walk away from some counters. It's really a question of if you think Eureka is going to be able to go for it or not. And Mystic Sanctuary, a very weak draw there, coming into play tapped, and is also susceptible to Wasteland. Dreadhorde flashing back the Brainstorm. Mystic Sanctuary, one of those cards that I have not been able to test out yet in Eureka. I believe it's actually replacing a Soul Land. And at this point, Adam's actually putting back counter spells on top of his deck. This is no good for Matt at all. Delver joins the board, and we've got, looks like 2 Force of Negation and a Force of Will. Sneak Show and Tell being played. Pyroblast number 1. Flusterstorm is going to clear the Pyroblast. Force of Negation. And passing back. So that is it for now. Force of Negation, actually a pretty solid counterspell in that it actually exiles the Show and Tell, meaning a card like Mystic Sanctuary would not be able to put it back on top of the library. This game very much favoring Adam. Still has counterspells. He's got the clock. Four more damage coming in. A couple of more turns. end-step Cunning Wish. Perhaps trying to bait a counter out of Adam's hand. He is not going to bite on that. Pyroblast staying at home. And yeah, I just kind of a last-ditch bluff there, hoping to snag a counter out of the hand, maybe relieve some of the potential pressure that'll be coming on the stack this last turn. But Adam's just going to have all the counters in the world here. One more hit and Force of Will plus additional fetch lands will be offline. Going to be going to just one. And from here, Matt's going to be unable to defend the combo very easily. So yes, we do all of these in one take, getting a delivery of some great games from Blue Orange Games. If you ever happen to make it down to my shop, I can definitely demo some of those for you. They are a lot of fun. Really like the history of that company too. They started making their own wooden toys in games quite a long time ago and have grown to have a tremendous catalog of wooden and otherwise. They've got a whole bunch of very interesting titles. Fast Track, a local favorite. Probably do a tournament for that this year.
Yeah, my wife and my daughter both waitress.
So we have a Delver of Secrets for Adam. Eureka Tell, able to get a Xantid Swarm, probably a 1 or 2 of in the sideboard. And it may prove to be lethal, as it could shut off all counter spells with its attack step. Of course, Xantid Swarm doesn't need to deal combat damage. It just needs to attack. I remember one of the earliest times playing with that card, actually swung at a player who had an Exalted Angel face down. They thought they were getting me by flipping it face up and blocking. I then went to my second main and proceeded to cast a lethal Animate Dead. And they... thank you. And they actually thought that because it didn't deal combat damage to them, that it was fine. And there we see a Gristlebrand off of Omniscience and a Cunning Wish. He's got all the goods. But yes, moral of the story, yes, Xantid Swarm doesn't need to deal damage. It naturally has 0 power, and just attacking is going to do it. Looks like did he have another one in the sideboard? Or did he already switch it in there quickly? It is a very interesting card to keep people honest. Looks like he actually... is discussing the utility of Vapor Snag. It does pitch for Force of Will. Of course, it just delays the inevitable. Of course, you can also counter it on the way down. It's an interesting question. What do you guys think? Vapor Snag or a Lightning Bolt post-board? What do you prefer if you know your opponent's bringing in Xantid Swarm? And does it make a difference if they're bringing in exactly 1 Xantid Swarm? A well-played match, and thanks for watching. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.